Hello and welcome to World Tanks with me, Jack the Ripper, and yes, this is a very long overdue video. Not going to explain it because, quite frankly, I don't think you care. You're here for one thing, and that's this video, hopefully. So, update 4.1, the Swedish invasion. Probably should be called the Swedish incursion. I mean, at the moment, it's 2 premium tanks. Not much of an invasion. I think we'd all be a little less afraid of many things if it's just 2 tanks. I mean, still a tank. Very scary. But only 2. I'm pretty sure with enough people, you can overwhelm 2 tanks. Otherwise, World Wars 1 and 2 would have probably gone a little bit different. You know, if you kind of 1,000 men there. We've got them, gentlemen. But, sir, they have a tank. Don't worry about it. They've only got the 1. Sir, they have a second. Dear God, man. Bring all 5,000 of our men back. Anyway, I'm going very, very off topic. So, what are the things that you need to know about this replay? Replay? Wow, okay. That's immediately coming straight to my mind. There you go. What do you need to know about this replay? Well, this replay is about replays. No, what do you need to know about this update? Well, we have replays. And I'm going to try and do it almost on day 1. I'm going to be trying to show you how you can use the server replay system. And these, I've done a video about it before. I'll try and remember to link in the description, where I showed how to record longer than a certain period of time. Now, I don't know if that still works. So, I want to make sure that it does still work. I want to make sure that it works with the replays, and I want to make sure that it works in a nice way. So I know people currently do this, where you basically start recording at the beginning of the game, you end recording at the end of the game. Now, essentially, it's just doing that, but with the replays, and the replays allows you to do that in a great way. I look forward to the replays, partly because of, one, my capture card is not running. I'm sure any of you follow me on Twitter, which, by the way, you should do, because that's where I make a lot of announcements. Sorry for hitting my mic. My mic is very close to where my hand is. And you'll see, a lot of time, you'll see me getting annoyed because my capture card is near useless these days. I have a list of things I'm trying to save up for right now, and a new one of those is on the list. Priority, though, because I want to because it still does the job, so I'm not going to replace it right now. Priority, believe it or not, is actually to try and get something so it allows me to stream. So that is where I'm going with that. But yeah, so for me, what it means is for those games where my capture card's crashed, my capture card didn't work, something like that, not only can I just go back and get the footage anyway, but more interestingly, what it allows you to do is it has a free cam, which I don't know if it does mention there actually, but what I'm told it does, so maybe this is groundbreaking news. So it allows you to get a better grasp of everything that's going on. So I know there's one of the things I had contemplated doing, and I spoke about a while back to people I know about. If I'm doing video and you really want to analyze specific moments, especially my things like what did I do right, what did I do wrong, which by the way they will be returning. You know, those sort of more educational style videos. It's really important to have a real grasp of everything going on around you, and you can't really do that with the live replays, as we have them at the moment. But this is going to mean we can, because we're going to be able to pause it. We're going to go into free cam. We're going to have a look around. We're going to know exactly what's happening, and that's going to be brilliant. I know Cosmic Carry came up with a really nice solution, which I hadn't no one had thought of. I mean, fair play. No one thought of the idea of just watching it back on Media Player. I mean, I thought of similar things, but not that level. My thing was I was going to try and find a way of full screening the video playback in what's it called, in Sony Vegas, but I just couldn't find a way to do it. Mixed with the fact that I don't know if any of you have ever used Sony Vegas, but the amount of CPU that uses is kind of dumb. Even for just playback, like, more often than not, when a lot of my older ones where you hear me doing commentary over stuff, the way I did it was I have that little playback thing, I enlarge it as much as I can, I record myself on Audacity, I create a point where I know where I'm going to line up, so say at the beginning of the game, I'll do something like a countdown, I'll then use the audio signal from that, cut it from that point, and then go from there, and I know it's roughly lined up, and then at part of the video, you'll hear me say a time, probably a little bit out of place, and you'll notice that's because the reason I'm saying that is so I can use it to make sure that everything is lined up. But that obviously didn't work very well. Cosmic came up with a very simple solution. It worked quite nicely for what you needed it to do, but for the more in-depth stuff that I would like to do, and for, I imagine, if he ever returns, then what he would like to do, I'm sure what Ben is going to like to do, and Lamb is going to like to do, and Joe, sorry, I'm going to say real names, Sins the Beard Guys, so on and so forth. Mad Friday, of course. I think people like Turkey can make an excellent use of this. I don't know if any of you if you don't watch his channel, make sure you go and watch his channel. I think arguably the best light tank player in the game. Sure, I think that's a fair claim. And there's a lot of ways this can be very, very useful for content creators. But I still maintain, I don't really get sent replays, and I'm not particularly asking for them. A lot of the stuff I do is very, very specific, and I'm not someone. I know there's a lot of people with far more structured concepts to their videos. So, you know, people doing, you know, guest replays and exciting replays and all that. I don't really do that. It tends to be, I've started erring, I do apologize. It tends to be that when I do a video, it's because I've done something. I've played a game, it's made me think, oh yeah, this would be really, really useful. Or I've sat down and I knew what I wanted to do when I sat down. So the difference is I don't really look at some footage and then match that to a video. I think of a video and then match the footage to that. So because it's the other way around, it's not overly helpful. I would love to be sent replays. I mean, it gives me a stockpile. I mean, part of the reason why it's taken as long for me to get back into the videos as I have, because I only took about a 2-month break, and it's been, what, 3 months since I did a video? Well, ignoring my Sambering Brazilian Bulldog. Part of that is because of the fact that I wanted to build up a little bit more backlog of footage. I've got into FIFA a lot this year. I've had insane pack luck. I'm really enjoying playing it. As you're all aware from watching my content, you'll see my internet dies on a regular basis, and so the single-player versions with that has been absolutely fantastic. Also, I'm probably quite a distance into a video that's supposed to be about World of Tanks, so I'm going to be talking about a lot of things that aren't World of Tanks. I might have to put time frames on, time marks, whatever they're called, skip points. You get the idea. So, the replay system is awesome, and that is going to be very, very useful. It's going to allow a lot of people to do a lot more stuff, and that's going to be great. Now, Seige Mode. Yeah, I don't really need to explain much on this. If you don't know what Seige Mode is, basically it is a mode that Swedish tank destroyers can go into. While in this mode, they move very, very slowly. They can still turn. It raises their tank's hydraulics take effect. Not in the sort of, you know, Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre style of way. Not, you know, we're not doing that. No one's dropping it like it's hot. And well, I suppose that the DPM on some of them is pretty hot. But what it means is, while in this mode, you have a better DPM, better gun handling, better accuracy, better everything. Your gun is just all around better, but obviously you're far more vulnerable. So if you get caught in Siege Mode and a light tank rushes you, heck, if a mouse rushes you and you're in Siege Mode and you don't get out of Siege Mode in time, you're pretty screwed. Like, it's not a good thing to be in. But, you know, you can't, it doesn't take that long to switch, so you should be okay. The other thing that's very important in it, and I think it does say here, yes, in Siege, the camouflage net and binocular telescope, also binocular, I'll have to say that word in a while, binos, remain active during hull movement. This means that while in a Siege Mode Swedish TD, camo net and binocs keep active. Now what that does mean, which is an interesting thing that I'm pretty sure I've never really seen anyone do, but if you had a really good stealthy ass crew, you could say on proc, go down the, you know, 1-2 line, and just get to a point where you're in Siege Mode, get your camo net and binocs up, and then just slowly advance bush to bush. And you will just keep spotting people, and there's not a lot they can do about it. The only way you're ever going to do that is if there's already someone in a bush with better camo and view range than you waiting for you. So, that's a bit dodgy, but it can be done. Persistent platoons. 2-person platoons can move between eligible game modes without disbanding. I'm assuming that means you can go from training rooms... Actually, no, it won't be. It'll be you can go from standard platoons to war stories, which I still haven't played. Yeah, I don't care. Okay. I didn't know anyone was complaining about that, to be honest. On to the new vehicles. So, let's start with the so-called invasion, shall we? So, we're getting the Tier 6 Swedish Medium. Now, this thing it's an interesting little tank. There's nothing wrong with it. Well, actually, it's probably not true. There's nothing great about it. Like, there's no sort of standout. If it wasn't the first Swedish medium tank, I imagine no one would buy it. Like, even the budget people would ship the extra amount for the Swedish Centurion. It's just a better tank. So, whatever. Now, the Swedish TD, I'm not going to, again, this is not a review video, so I'm not going to go into too much details, but basically, this is a good TD. It's stealthy. The armor bounces most shells unless they're above a certain caliber, especially if it's in Siege Mode. It's, of course, the first thing to have Siege Mode, so it allows you to get used to it should this be a line that you want to grind. Helps you build a crew. It's probably going to make good silver. And it's got a very, very good gun for the tier. It's probably one of the best guns at the tier, in fact. I mean, it's one of the only guns that's really going to compete at tier 8 with the 128mm in terms of, you know, the pen, the ability of the gun. So that, I think, is going to be interesting. Now, the new shift around for this line is where it's going to be really, really interesting. And so I'm going to momentarily leave this little view we see I've already got some things up here because I do plan on doing in-depth things, especially about the mouse changes. Now, one of the reasons why you shouldn't be as worried about these as you might think. So if we go and have a quick look at this thing here. That turret is pretty nasty down here. Around here is not actually that bad. So under the gun, good chance of penning. Flat next to the gun, good chance of penning. Flat next to gun, good chance of penning. Lower plate, very, very easy to pen. If you can get the angle down a little bit, yeah, probably not enough. But if you're looking down on it sort of thing, you'll see you can pen through these things, through there a little bit. Again, if you've got the chance, you can pen through there. And once you get the right angle, I don't know what the right angle is, but, you know, there is an angle at which point you can pen down through the hole. But more importantly, that. And not anything is going to be able to pen it, don't get me wrong. But it's not that strong. If you get these flat bits here, around here, sort of thing, don't aim for these, don't aim for here, don't aim too high up there, aim kind of as close to the turret basically as you can get. Round here, near where you can see the viewport. Hang on, if I put it on live. Oh, no, okay, not live. Visual. Hey! So, well, okay. You see it up here, so it's just below. Okay, don't forget this is taking into account the angle. So you want to aim for that little viewport thing there. You want to aim sort of, you know, up here. So it's at its flattest there. Now, admittedly, if you're over here, you don't want to aim here. You want to aim here. Always aim at the point nearest to you. Ooh, gets a bit lower over there because the side gets a bit weaker. So yeah, obviously, if you're at the side, you know, just shoot wherever. Probably around here or around here for the ammo rack and fuel tanks. So, you know, so that's the tier rate. So again, you've not really got to worry about a huge amount with that. It's not too deadly. If we go over to the Mauschen, same sort of thing. I mean, the turret is a lot stronger, but again, if you aim almost always directly across from the gun, here again, under the gun, lower plate, yet again, and then the turret again. It's officially a little bit stronger. You see these top parts. Okay, I need to stop doing that. Oh yeah, by the way, if you are close enough, I don't know if you can get a shot. You can pen the turret ring. So if one of these things face hugs you and you can't, I know certain tanks won't be able to get the gun elevation up to shoot there. Just shoot at this little ring around here. Same thing applies to the E100 for those who don't know about it. And so again, here you've got up the top. It ends up being about the same, especially when you're kind of trying to aim up at it a little bit. You end up with the top bit ends up being only 180 millimeters, but apparently it's still staying in certain areas quite high, in certain areas quite low. That's quite inconsistent. Just aim around, you know, as low as you can, really. So again, if we go into the visual model, what you want to do here, I say I'm going to do a better video on this. So you got this little strip going around here. We want to aim at it or below it. If you can only shoot the top, then that's fine. But because realistically, so if you're only shooting at the top, that usually means that, you know, you're like here or something, and so you're shooting down on it anyway. That's fine. That's whatever. But if you're, you know, pointing towards it, if you're aiming up at it, it's cresting a hill. Don't shoot at the top bit. Aim as, you know, dead center as you can, if not lower, as close to the bottom of the base of the turret. That is going to be where you're going to have your best results. But again, lower plate, no problem. And things like your fuel tank or all that are going to be right behind it as well. So those aren't as much to worry about as you might think. The turret on the tier 10, I probably should have got that up, but that is also quite paper. It can be penned by a lot of things. Obviously, it will bounce stuff, but, you know, it's not, whatever. Pilsen. That is quite a fun map. I might actually have to do a, like the same way I did for Overlord. I need to make sure actually, because I think I need to download all the maps, because again, they're going to change all the maps, so it'd be a bit redundant doing it based on, with a map overhead like I've done before, only for them to then say, yeah, well, they all look different now. So that would be confusing, and I'm aware the Overlord one will look nothing like it used to, so whatever. Redshire 1944, now I think this has been a long time coming, and I'm really hoping that this is them changing it opposed to adding a new map. If this is adding a new map, I won't be impressed. And I think I'm going to have to, like, I'm normally at this point, I say the name, but just on the off chance someone from Wargaming decides to listen to this, because apparently when I Chase, a World of Warships YouTuber, said someone who messed up and made a genuine mistake should be in trouble for making said genuine mistake, he was removed from the community contributor for making personal attacks. Whereas I have repeatedly said someone's name and said I think that they should be fired. And have been okay. It's probably a level of double standards because, one, I don't deal with North America, and EU are a little bit more understanding. And two, I'm nowhere near as big as I Chase. But I'm not going to push my luck. And yes, that is the closest thing you've probably heard to me ever saying that I'm going to rein something in based on some form of community contributor status. But if any of you follow my Twitter, you'll be aware. Put it this way, I was talking to someone about something the other day to do with something I tweeted recently to do with the good, the bad, the ugly, and World Tanks. And the response was not, oh, what has Jack done? It's what has Jack done now? I am in no way a goody two-shoes, and I have no way afraid of stepping on the feet of wargaming, and I will do it quite willingly. But I think if something can be said in a way that doesn't require having to step on someone's feet as much, but still gets the point across, then that's what I'm going to do, and hopefully that's what I'm doing now. So yeah, if this is another map opposed to a replacement, then I'm not going to be impressed. I think that's going to be absolutely stupid. All in all, having played both maps, I played PC for a while, this is better. This is far more balanced. There is so much less bottlenecking. The gameplay is so more fluid. There is just everything better about this map, and I can't wait for that. I think that is long overdue. Don't care whether it's an alternate history version. I think there's a point where I want as much realism in this game as possible in terms of some of the tanks. When it comes to the maps, I don't care. Weirdly, that is one of the places. I mean, who here complained about Luna? Like, I mean, Luna, that's not very realistic. And it's Sand River with a skin. What are you expecting? Like, it's fun. The map is the map enjoyable? Yes, right, then it's good. Is the map authentic? No. Was it fun? Yes. Well, it's still good. Okay, that's how I view it anyway. Now, the improvements, I don't actually know. Actually, I might just quickly check. I don't think this should affect you. No, I haven't had a reply. I have asked Wargaming for a little bit more detail on that, and if I get the full details, I'll do a video on it. Then I will probably want to do something fully on that, and go fully over what it is on about the spotted things. Now, if I'm going to take a stab in the dark on PC, what they did is they changed it. So the way it was on PC in the olden days is you were never actually rendered in. Is you were sort of driving around and you weren't rendered in, and then suddenly someone spots you, and then you get rendered in. What they did is they changed that around, and so they changed the coding. So basically, you're actually rendered in, but you're just invisible. And then they removed the invisibility, and that made it a little bit quicker in terms of you appearing. Now, that depends. So that's what I'm guessing is this is referencing by the fact that it says more quickly, because there was another change to the spotting improvements, which we don't have the same thing, but I know I do believe we already had something similar. Therefore, I'm guessing it's not referencing that. There was another thing on PC where they made it so there was more points of reference for where you can get spotted. So I don't know if you've ever found yourself, and you're looking over and you're like, how did I get spotted? That guy's behind the hill. And it turns out, because of the way his tank is, there's a tiny reference point, which on console is probably put somewhere in the wrong place anyway, and it's actually floating above his tank, where at the very, very top of his commander's hatch is a reference point, and he can spot from that reference point. But because your commander's hatch is slightly lower to the ground, you technically can't see him in the same way. And so you get weird stuff like that. And I'm assuming that's not what it's on about. Czechoslovakian nation voice and the Swedish nation voice. Well, the Swedish nation voice obviously is coming with the Swedish tanks. I believe the Czech thing was a mistake. I genuinely think that someone forgot there. Like, that's not from Wargaming. That's not from anything. I'm not doing. There's no sort of NDAs or inside secrets here. That is, I think, someone forgot. Like, it seems like they overlooked something. With the amount of extras they put in with the whole crew voice thing, not to include that, I highly doubt that they didn't. That they hadn't done it and just went, oh shit, we'll get it out anyway. I'm sure they must have forgotten that. I think that's just a genuine mistake, and quite frankly, people are allowed those. Not going to get too caught up on that. I know it annoyed a lot of people, but I don't care. My main thing with the tank customization is I get to call my crew stupid names, which, if I remember now, I'm going to show a couple of those on stream on screen of some of the changes that I made to my crews. Tank shot decals improved. What I'm assuming that means is when you do shoot someone, again, this is another change that's already happened on PC, the hole that you see that it leaves, I believe they're changing those. I remember, obviously, if you go back into console, there was one point where all holes look the same. We always used to laugh at it, like, back in the beta days where you could shoot someone with a Leopard and you have a load of holes on the side and it looked the same as if you'd shot them like 50 times with a freaking E100. It's just stupid. So, nice little touch. Map rotation adjustments. Maps in rotation become available at Battle Tier 4. Excludes extreme weather variance in province. Now, I know the map rotation things are going to get very, very interesting, because I know one of the things they've recently done is they've unlocked some of the tiering. They've done this to mean that we've got better queues, more map rotation. Now, I actually don't care that much. But at the same time, I'm aware of some of the issues. Certain maps that are high tier, single play or single team action has far more ability than it probably should. Things like Westfield. If you have a map, if you get Westfield and one side refuses to push at any place, regardless of what their overmatch is, but the other team even has 2 tanks who manage to push around one of the flanks, whichever flank it is, it doesn't really matter. They've won. Now, at tier 8, you can probably go back and deal with it. It's going to be a bit of a struggle, but you're a good player, you're going to pull it off. Tier 6, oh yeah, that's pretty much easy. I mean, at that point in time, you know, if you're in a KV85 or whatever, you know, it's doable. It's very, very doable. If you're in an E100 and the 2 tanks that have gone around are pretty much any other 2 tier 10s, you're still probably screwed. Like, there is no tanks that aren't just going to be able to come around a corner and DPM you to death before you can kill both of them. So, that's whatever. I do think, though, that there is no argument to do with sort of how it breaks it or anything like that. I can see it taking some of the fun out of the maps, but breaking it, nah, not really. Like, that is what it is, and I would rather have the better rotation, frankly. I think I would rather put up with occasional tier 9 and 10 games on Province. That'd be amazing. On Kamarin, I always thought they were fine on Kamarin anyway. You know, getting, as I say, Wide Park in a tier 9, whatever. I don't really care. I'm fine with that. I missed playing those maps because those that I like. For me, I'm probably, I know it sounds weird to a lot of people. Tier 8 is what I define as low tier. Like, that's just how I view this game. You know, tier 10 for me is the aim and the goal, and that is where I'm always going. So for me, tier 10 is the normal tier. Tier 9 is, you know, getting a bit lower tier, and then tier 8 is the low tier. Anything below that is just sort of, I was going to say noob, but I don't mean in an N-O-O-B way. I mean N-E-W-B. Like, I find myself saying, if I'm playing down there, I'm either playing with someone who's grinding, I'm grinding myself, or they're new to the game. Like, I can't, to myself, and this is to myself, not to anyone else, I can't justify me playing those tiers without saying, oh yeah, I'm new to the game. Like, that's the only way I can justify it, but that's me. Map rotation adjustments I've already gone over. Further mini-map improvements. Buildings are now solid black and destructible building... Oh, right, okay, with white outlines. I think that's the minimum. I believe I actually had a suggestion put forward, that I put forward to them. Not a suggestion, from feedback. Because I don't know about any of you, but especially in some of the extreme weather ones. So as you guys will see, all my stuff's always in colorblind mode. Why? Because I'm colorblind. I'm quite severely colorblind. And no, that does not mean that this entire... Well, actually, I was about to say this whole thing is black and white anyway, so that'd be a bad argument. But no, that does not mean, say, I can't see the blue and the green in the top right corner under my name for the Xbox and the PlayStation stores. What colorblindness is to do with the telling... I mean, the technical term is color deficiency, but if I said that to anyone, they usually don't understand. It's to do with, you know, telling the difference between the 2 different colors. So you put 2 different colors near each other, you tend not to be able to tell as much of a difference as you might. Especially if they're shades of the same color. Now, I think it was... I can't remember what map it was, actually, but I was playing a map, and... Actually, I was playing several maps, and you're playing it, and it's all snow, right? Okay, right, okay. So how have they defined, you know, where the buildings are? Well, okay, you know, apparently now they're going to do it... They were grey before. Now it's going to be black with a white outline to say which ones are destructible and which ones aren't. So it's going to have a white outline around the black thing that's surrounded by white. Yeah, I'm going to freaking love that. Basically, it's going to mean sod all to me. That is just going to make it worse, if anything. Okay, then how do they show the topography? Like, you know, okay, that area goes up. Well, what we do is we use a different shade of white. Maybe a shade of grey. Oh, again, lovely. Can't tell. And that's my experience with the maps. Is I have been using the larger maps, you know, the big square maps, since they came out, because I found it easier to, you know, it's just easier to have a fuller grasp. I'm going to be going back to the smaller maps. I'm probably going to find it really weird at first, and it's probably going to look weird in the videos. But one, I agree with people like Turkey. I do agree. I've always agreed with people like Turkey that it is more detail at a small area. And when you're doing things like playing medium tanks and light tanks, and even some heavy tanks, that is far more useful information than the big map can provide. So I've agreed with that, but I've not been playing too many of those styles of tanks. I've been playing some of my light tanks, which at that point, I'm more interested in knowing... sorry, my passive light tanks. So not your LTTBs, not your T54 lightweights, but my 1390. Now with that, I'm generally more required to have a surrounding knowledge. Like, where is everyone. Whereas their light tank, all that sort of stuff, and I will miss, and you will miss, whether you like it or not, you'll miss people getting spotted. So I say this, I may end up not changing it, but it's going to bug me at the very least. But you will miss people getting spotted on the other side of the map. And you might say, oh, well, yeah, but you just, press the big button. What are the odds? Because, I mean, the whole thing is you bring up the big map by pressing the select or whatever the hell the button's called every so often. What are the odds? Also, I am realizing how far we must be into this by now and how little distance we've gone down. 25 minutes. Wow, okay. So, wow. This is going to be a long-ass video. Adjusted friendly scouts, but I don't care. Reduced amount of enemy artillery at lower tiers in Queen and Gambit. Don't care. I'm guessing more war stories. Northwest standard team instruction spawns adjusted for balance. Well, I'll see. Unfortunately, I'm not in the super test anymore, so I can't really kind of say, yeah, I've seen that. It looks good. It looks bad. Adjusted some building scale to allow larger tanks for a clear. Okay, I can see that being good. Updated the free XP and XP icons. Yeah, that's whatever. Improved explosion FX. That'd be cool. May pick up larger visibility. Yeah, whatever. Ruinberg War adjusted. There's a lot of these are just very, very minor things. I don't really give a crap for that. That finally, it's not like it's been in most wargaming titles for a long time. I've been playing a lot with a lot of people from like just the community at the moment. I've played a lot with Zelda. Been playing Superman a few times, and it gets so annoying when you're in the same type of tank, and one of you spawns in the perfect position to go to one location, and the other one doesn't. Or we've had it the other way around, where like someone's in a medium tank, someone's in a heavy tank, and the person in the heavy tank is spawned over where it's perfect for a medium tank, and the medium tank's where it's perfect for a heavy tank. At least if you were together, one of those is at least applicable. You can still help each other out at the very least, and you can go to somewhere useful. But now one person has to spend half the game driving across to a point in a safe manner that gets them to where the other person is, and it's just stupid. That is brilliant. I'm very, very glad for that. That makes absolutely no difference. Basically, they didn't show it, now they did. Does it affect anything? Nope. Why are they doing it? Because they should have done it in the first place. Well, okay, great. As with previous HD updates, some of the displayed armor values have now changed, as new additional armor plates have been added during the HD process. Where no change is indicated, the front side rear display will display the same numbers as before, but the armor model has been remade into HD. So it will be there. So it will be a new model, possibly with different armor and armor values elsewhere. Yeah, i.e., I'll get to it. Yeah, basically, that spiel means sometimes they tell you what they've done, most often they don't. Fan-dabby bloody doozy. I'm absolutely chuffed with that. That was surprisingly cockney. I'm from Manchester. That is not how I'm supposed to sound. So, what does this one mean? Right, better side scraper. Right, next. What does that one mean? Fuck all. What does this one mean? You turn a little bit better. What does this one mean? You side scrape better. What else does it mean? You can shoot people better. Yay! What else does it mean? You turn a little bit better. Yeah, well, no, you don't turn a little bit better. Your gun is just less bad when you turn. Basically, that's just those two are the bloom. Your gun doesn't bloom up as much, and that one gives you more side armor, which, considering that's a tier 8, have fun with that. Basically makes it one of the best side scrapers in the game for its tier, especially considering it gets pref. Yay. What does that one mean? Fuck all! What does this one mean? Turns a little bit better. What does this one mean? Turns a little bit better. What does this one mean? Finally! Yeah, no. So, what this means is this is sort of a minor change, I guess, to the... I don't know. If they're missing details out, then it's the change that we've got from PC. If they're not missing details out, it's kind of the change we got from PC, but missing some of the extra bits. So on PC, they did that, but they also changed the main thing they did, actually, was they changed the bloom. So, whereas before, and you'll see it on console, if you play this tank, especially when you get moving at speed, the bloom on the gun is horrendous. Yeah, it's all well and good buffing that aim time by 0.2 of a second. What doesn't help is the fact that the bloom is so bloody big after moving anywhere that it's usually off your screen. So it does mean things like carefully reversing and, side scraping and all that become a lot more awkward because of that. The more health is nice. I mean, it is a heavy tank, and yet there are, that's not a lot of health for a heavy tank. Whatever. What does this one mean? Fuck all. What does this one mean? Fuck all. What does this one mean? Pretty much fuck all. Like, you're gonna get the picture here. What does this one mean? Can you guess it? Fuck all. What does this one mean? Actually, quite a lot. Countering things. So, this basically changes the way the armor looks. I will potentially do, again, videos on the more detailed changes. But basically, some of the angling's a little bit different. It changes the way the hull looks a little bit. So you're a little bit more likely to bounce shots from certain angles, and you're a little less likely to bounce them from others. That's the key thing. Where you aim doesn't change. All in all, you're still aiming for the bottom of the pike nose if you want to pen the lower plate, if you got that shot. Or you're aiming for the top bit where the little kind of weird hatch thing is. What does this one mean? Way too much. Now, I haven't seen this yet, but if it's the one they did on PC, basically, they stopped you from being able to overmatch the roof as easily. So, I don't know if anyone knows. If you didn't, apologies, I should have told you earlier. You can shoot the 140 in the top of its turret, and you'll pen it. Fun, isn't it? Now, admittedly, I don't tend to find that being much of an issue, because normally I use enough gun depression that the top of my roof isn't exposed, and then when people do bounce, they just load premium rounds, or they're just firing premium rounds anyway, because it's a tier 10 tank destroyer. Why would you not? That's sarcasm. I'm aware it probably didn't sound like it. Lovely. So what it meant was the top of the turret gets a little bit more balanced. Basically, you end up with a slightly better T62A. Because it's not as strong a turret as the 62As yet, but it gets a lot closer. What does this one mean? Very little. It bounces everything anyway. Who cares? What does this one mean? Very little. What does this one mean? Means that they're aids. So, if I remember correctly, / I have looked into this a little bit. That's what I mean by remember. One of the things that they've done is they buffed the armor, but they've said, oh yeah, but they said earlier, didn't they? They said, where is it? We will change indicated the front side rear, won't we? Oh, but the armor may also... There's possibilities that different armor values elsewhere. Right. So what they're not telling you here is things like those R2-D2s are getting a buff. So they have certain flat bits, they're going. They're now rounded. So it means you're more likely to bounce. Now it's possible, and I'm not 100% sure on this, is if they're doing the exact same thing as PC, they're also giving them more armor. They're also giving the sides more armor. They're also giving the rear more armor. They're also giving the front more armor. Lovely. So now, you really now have to shoot those R2-D2s, and occasionally you just have to just give up and fire premium. Yay! What's this one mean? If you're a stat padder, quite a good thing. If you're not, you're fucked. SU-85, what does this thing mean? I refer you to my previous statement. What does this one mean? Keep going. Previous statement. Come on. Tetrarch, what does this one mean? Not very much. What's this one mean? Again, not very much. It's bouncy. It just looks better now. That's basically it on that one. What's that one mean? I refer you to that one. Go fuck yourself, basically. Go fuck yourself, said Wargaming. Especially now that they're giving it away for free to the people, and especially go fuck yourself to the people who, about a month and a half ago, bought it because, ooh, the rare tank is on sale. Oh wait, no, it's away. We're giving it away for free. Haha, fuck you. What do we move on to here? No one cares. What's here? This one mean? Fuck all. I mean, technically, maybe you're a little bit faster. You've got five. I already can do 86 kilometers an hour in this thing. Why they might have potentially made it lighter, I don't know. But that sounds fun. That means, essentially, fuck all. That one means very, very little. This one is actually quite useful. Now, the armor thing doesn't make a huge difference. You're still going to get penned where you would have got penned. You're still going to bounce where you would have bounced. But the top speed is a real nice little change. The Panther has always hit its limit, I found. It's quite fast. It's got a very powerful engine for not a huge amount of armor, so you do tend to top out. But yeah, you know, this is a big change. Yeah. So you're faster, you turn better, your gun depression's way better, and your armor's a little bit better. Now that 85 may not seem a much. Seem a much? Yeah, seem a much. It does not seem a much. I don't know why I had to call it Italian. Apologies to any Italian people there. I probably sounded very offensive. And if I didn't, hey, it's a Mario. Now I sound offensive. So, that 5mm could be enough to make the difference between not penetrating someone and penetrating someone. Not very often, don't get me wrong, but especially with something like the Panther 2, the difference is now you don't have to climb up a hill as much, you don't have to edge over as much to get those shots off. So, that, like, doubly affects it. Those two kind of help each other massively. So there's been a number of times where I'm sure if you've been in your Panther, it's Panther 2 basically, and you've got to the edge of a hill, I need to get the gun depression, I need to get that shot on that guy. Ah, god damn it! You know what? I need to kill him. I have to take the hit. So you go over the hill, you take the hit, you kill him. Not a big deal. It's a health trade. It's one that's worth doing. Now you don't have to do that. Now you poke, you peek, you shoot him, he's dead. No biggie. And okay, maybe you have to expose a little bit of your hull. Well, now there's a slightly better chance you're going to bounce. Great. What's that mean? Sod all. What's this one mean? Again, yeah, not a lot. You turn quicker. It turned relatively fine already, and you hit your top speed. Again, it was limited, but it's 4 kilometers an hour. No one cares. What's this one do? Same thing. But buff to the 75mm gun. Yeah, no complaints there. What's this one do? Yeah, again, minor buffs. You're going to turn a little bit quick. Sorry, that one's not turning. That is, again, bloom. So these numbers are to do with an effect on how much your gun blooms. This one's between rotation and... Oh, yeah, no, they're both the same. It's just depending on the chassis. I should have read that a bit closer. My mistake. So this is with the kind of non-upgraded, and this is with the upgraded. And basically, it's just to do with how much your gun blooms. Not a big deal. Great scheme of things. Shot dispersion during turret rotation. Again, same thing. Updated Panzer 3-4. If you're playing this tier for longer than grinding it, why are you playing that thing for longer than you're grinding it? What does it mean for your grinding? Not a lot. It means you got better gun depression. You got a bit more health. And you got a bit more, well, you got quite a bit more armor actually, but you can't side scrape as well. So you know, swings and roundabouts. Basically, I think there are guns at that tier which will now overmatch your side, whereas before you could at least bounce them. But at the same time, if you angle out in their suggested in their heavy tanks guide, Diamond's idea, where you poke the nose out, you may actually bounce a couple shots, but you can't shoot back because your turret's too far back. So yay, Panzer 5-4, because this needed to happen. Yes, I know. What is the most underpowered tank in the game? What do we need to give more gun depression to? What do we need to have slightly better armor? I can't think of anything that could really do with more of a buff than the Panzer 5-4. It's woefully underpowered, and frankly, I think we can all agree it's in need of a buff. As is artillery. Because artillery, I think, they're the things that need buffing most in this game. Panzer 5-4 and artillery. I think we can all agree. Again, means very little. Now, here's the one where I would like to do a more full video on this because I'm not trying to rush through this, but I'm trying to get this done. I'm 40 minutes in, and you know you can see how much I've still got to go down this fucking page. So I'm going to quickly go over it, but what you're going to really notice here is stuff like this. So this is 9.2 on PC, so the current one. So this is what it is like now, and this is what we're going to get any day now on console, and you'll see. There is very little of this that you can actually penetrate. So yeah, 260mm. That's not great. So that is your flat side. Again, this is what I'm talking about. You go side across from the gun. You got these. Well, okay, no armor. That's great, isn't it? No, because you can't penetrate them. They don't mean anything. Well, okay, what about the lower plate? Okay, that's really strong now as well. Shit, well, what about the sides? Yeah, well, officially you can pen them, but what that's not really taking into account is the fact that there's this amount of spaced armor involved in this. It's nuts. Like, aim here. Oh, okay, well, side of the turret. Screw you too. You don't want to fire premium rounds in your gun? Well, fuck you. So that's what it's like now. Well, sorry, what it's going to be like. This is what it's like before. You see 260 even at the bits that are more angled. The bits that aren't as angled, you can easily pen 240, you know. That sort of thing where if you high roll with the pen on your E100 as it was, or as it is, should I say, then you're going to pen. Not anymore. Low plate, again, sort of, not really too much of a difference in that. I mean, we're looking straight on, 200. Effective angle, original angle, you can see it's starts off at about a 40%, 40 degree. We head back into this one. It's even steeper now at the very start, so it's 45, but that means so it's same armor, more angle, you know, lovely jubbly. I'm sure we were all absolutely ecstatic about that change. Did they do anything else? Yeah, so they improved the gun. So the gun gets better, which I do actually think it did need. There's little points in playing such as bunker if you can't even defend yourself, and I like that gun, and with that gun improvement I will be interested in seeing that tank played now. I would have probably rather not seen the armor change the same way it was. I would have rather they'd added so we've got flat points here, we've got flat points here. Well, why not add, you know, actual hatch? Why not add say machine gun port, you know, there or there? Why not add a actual machine gun port? I think the actual Mars turret did have it had a second gun, the 76mm that it used for firing high explosive infantry. Well, okay, used. Hypothetically was going to use. Why not have that in? Have that in and have it at a weak spot. It's a little point. You go, okay, yeah, but but it takes away from the armor. Well, freaking side scrape in the right manner. Do that. At that point, it's not a weak spot. So that way, you're punished for doing the wrong thing and rewarded for doing the right thing. That doesn't seem like a difficult concept, wargaming. Rather than just rewarding people for doing whatever they like. Anyway. Nashorn, increased camo. That's kind of nice. It's nice to have something, but it's only one. It's not a huge amount. Right. So you're a bit stealthier. Okay. This is kind of cool. I mean, it looks a little bit better, and it's a bit stealthier. Kind of up for that. I really, really like the Stewer Mill. One of the only people. I think the thing I would really like though is a change to the ammunition count. Because like it's like basically like an underpowered Death Star at the tier it's at. But yeah, whatever. Lurva Black. I actually am not as against this change as a lot of people have been. Yes, it got minor buffs recently, but this actually sort of solves some of the power creep. The issue is, though, is it solves power creep we haven't actually had yet. So this power creep this solved was things like the T25E6 Patriot, the something Liberty, the French one, not the Liberty we have, which are basically tier 8 heavy tanks, which just made this thing look like paper and crap. And then, of course, things like the 252U Defender and all that sort of stuff. So this was a reaction to some real power creep moves on PC, which we haven't had. So will this now be overpowered? No, it's still a Lurva. I mean, I really like the Lurva. I'm one of the few people who ever did. But it's not going to be anything special. E50, gun depression, whoop. Much, much better. I'm much more interested. I'm part of the way through this grind, but I've always looked at the sort of the 9 and 10, looked at the gun depression and gone, ugh, no. And so I've not really looked at, I've not taken it any further. But this, that's interesting. I believe the armor does have a couple of little nicer benefits. Nothing worth going into. It's not going to say, okay, now aim here. None of that. Tiger P, increased gun armor. Yeah, who cares? Increased Commander's Hatch armor. That's a bit more of an issue. It does mean some of the lower tier stuff that's going to face it is now not going to be able to pen it as much. But they are not changing the armor to the little side bits on the front of the hull. Still pen those, no worries. You might think, oh, this is a massive buff. Yeah, not really. This doesn't change as much as you might think. The side can still be penned by most of the guns it's going to face. The only thing is it's a little bit more forgiving when you're side scraping, because I don't know if people realize this, but the VK45B, if you side scrape wrong, you get punished hard. You will get penetrated through the side so easily by a lot of tanks, and most people don't realize it, so they admittedly don't shoot for it. But if someone does, they're just going to destroy you, and there's not a lot you can do about it. Now, I'm not 100% for this, because that's ridiculously strong. But at the same time, the hatch is still weak. I do believe the hatch may be a little bit more pronounced now. It's part of that. So it might actually be easier to hit. I think if I remember correctly, that's what they've done. They've made the hatch easier to hit, but they've made the general turret stronger. Now, I assume that is just because they haven't done, wherever it is, that yet. I don't know which way around this. So I'm assuming they've already done this to this. But they've just not done it to the with 88. Because I'm sure they'd already added the 8 degrees on the Panther 2. So I think that is, you don't worry, you've got nothing to worry about there. That's them just catching up the premium to the tech tree opposed to the other way around. I hope. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. VK28. Again, not massive difference. Max depression of the gun, that's nice. Beyond that, whatever. I mean, the camo's camo. I mean, it's a good thing to get more of on a light tank, but again, you're not going to make a huge difference to your camo. VK45A, this gains a lot of armor on the front, which is a nice little touch, but it's still not enough. The tanks that we're going to overmatch, not overmatch, but the tanks that had enough penetration to go through anyway are still going to go through anyway. There's not a lot that's going to be changed by this. These are just to change the look of some of the stuff, and it's got a bit more gun depression and gun elevation goes down. So, again, who cares? E50, gun depression, again, really nice. Little bit of a change to how it looks. Okay, no big deal. Piercing power on that, that's really nice. It's a very, very nice buff. Certainly makes a very, very lethal TD at its tier. Combine that with the extra camo, the Flak Bus is a real thing to be messed with now. A little bit of an accuracy buff on the Panzer IV Schmalturm. Schmalturm, I'm guessing? Schmalturm, that's what I'm going to go with. Germans, Superman, for example. Correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, that's not a big deal. These are not major improvements. These are not things that you're going to notice a drastic difference. The accuracy, probably. Panther M10. Again, lots of little things that sound like they're adding a big difference. Might sound like they're doing some sort of difference here, but they're really not. It's going to become a little bit faster. It's going to see a bit further, but beyond that, you're not going to really notice anything different in this. The DPM was already good. Well, the rate of fire was already good. The DPM's arguably pretty awful. The rate of fire was already good. The accuracy was already relatively good. The bloom was already relatively good. Awful Panther. Well, until I don't think they've sold it as an actual premium yet, but when they do, this will be useful. But for those who don't, who just have it anyway, yeah, nice little buff. Indian Panther, same sort of thing. A little bit faster, a little bit better accuracy. That's about it. Well, not technically. I would say accuracy does. Aim time comes under accuracy, but that's aim time is still the truer term. More gun depression for the PTA. Good. Makes no difference. Make no difference. VK 3002M. Again, a little bit of extra armor is nice. None of this is going to make any huge difference. You're not going to notice anything. This is a big deal. This is going to make a rather large difference. But at the same time, it's not. So, heading quickly back to the old mouse. You can pen this more reliably now. Oh, wait. No, you can't. Okay, well, you can pen the tier... no, you can go. You might be able to pen the tier 8 a bit more reliable now. Oh, yay. You can now pen a tier 8 a bit more reliably. Aren't we so lucky? What about the tier... No. Maybe. So you may be able to pen the tier 8 and the tier 9. That's the buff to the tier 10, y'all. Yay. Yeah, this I'm not overly impressed with. I don't see a point. I think the Griller is practically woefully underpowered on console. People have to remember that the stats that we have on it, yes, they are not the nerfed ones that they then had on PC, but all in all, both of those were balanced around the concept of playing with TDs with 750 alpha. Ours doesn't. Sort of makes it a tad useless in a way. It's still a nice tank, but it's not what it could be. Who cares? You made artillery faster. Yay. Anyway, who cares? That's not too bad. Nice little change. Not a big deal. Nice little change, not too bad. Again, these are not a huge deal. It's slight buffs to the pens of some guns. It's not going to make the world of difference. It's going to be nice. It's not going to make a huge difference. That's a pain in the ass. I especially don't agree with that one. So I think, put bluntly, that 150mm gun is a mistake on the Waffenträger 4. In the sense of, I don't think it works well. I don't think it's powerful enough, I don't think it's accurate enough, and it's too derpy, it's too floaty. Now, people like to use it anyway because they see the 750 alpha and they're like, oh yeah, oh my god. Now, the difference is what that used to mean is in a lot of tanks you can punish them for making that mistake. Or if they're going to use that gun, if they don't aim properly. Because if that gun, it's very derpy, it's not very accurate, so it's not likely to hit weak spots unless, even if you aim for them. So you're punished for your choice in that. That seems fair to me. You choose the less accurate gun for the concept of doing more damage, and you trade off a bit of DPM. So what do? They increase the penetration to make that basically a slightly more redundant choice. That's not enough penetration that it can suddenly overcome the other one's penetration, but it's enough that it's a big deal. So I don't really agree with that. Apologies for again catching my mic. Anyway, this is because I'm a hand talker. I'm talking with my hands, and my mic is above my hands. French. Tank that's deemed relatively overpowered. Let's give it slightly better armor. Yay! Artillery looks better. Okay. This has less rear armor for some reason. Why it had it in the first place? I don't know. Do I care? No. Do you care? Probably shouldn't. Moving on. 5120. Thank God for some of these changes. I have yet to get to these points, but I know there's a lot of people going to be happy about that, and I think that sort of thing is also quite well needed as well. So, not a huge difference, but at the same time, it's an absolutely massive difference. What I mean by that, it's not a huge numerical difference, but it's a massive difference to how well you can actually peak, how well you can play. 12T. Quite nice. Not going to complain. I don't think that's a big deal. The 12T is quite slow. If you're going to buff it, I would buff its speed. Either its top speed, because it struggles to get there, or its engine power, one of the two. But yeah, they're not going to, because that essentially makes it a 1375, and they need to essentially have it weaker than a 1375. UK, AT2 gets a HD model. Yeah, none of these really make a huge difference there. That's going to make sod all difference to your life. Neither is that. CGC, reduced moving still camo factor. That's quite funny, so it's now easier to spot. That's quite nice. But again, if it's behind a bush 600 meters away, why do you care? Talk to Challenger, Achilles, coming out. Those are pretty whatever. Here is an interesting one, and I like that bit especially. That is very interesting. I like that because it does create an interesting premise for the whole British line. I'd have to go through because I'm pretty sure the other two only have 50% or 55%. So this means it's better at making credits now. It's now also got a better gun. It's faster. It's sort of creeping up in power, which is nice. But at the same time, the turret isn't as good, but it is going to get a buff if it gets the PC one. You know, all that sort of thing. Now here, I hate this. Everyone on PC hates this. I saw someone playing someone's live stream the other day, and they were complaining because they're in a Type 4, and an STB-1 at about 400 or 500 meters started firing heat at them. Well, yeah, it's an STB-1, you're in a Type 4. I can kind of justify that. It's not exactly the most reliable gun at trying to hit those corner bits. If I'm in something like my 140 or my Action X, I'm definitely not switching to premium unless I really need to. I'm going to happily sit there and bounce a couple shots, but I'm going to pen you in your side bits. On PC, if this is exactly the same, those are gone. Well, they're not gone, but they're buffed to such an extent that even you'll still need heat to pen them. At that point, all you do is you mean it. You definitely mean it, Wargaming. I'm telling you, no. You make it so that people have to fire premium no matter what. So at the moment, yeah, there are a large number of guns that cannot penetrate the front of the Type 5 and the Type 4, but they have a weak spot. Do you know why they have a weak spot? Because there are guns that cannot penetrate them otherwise. Why do you have that? Because reasons. I don't know. But you add something in so that people don't have to fire premium. Now they sort of have to fire premium. So I'm hoping, again, I've not seen the super test versions, I've not seen the final versions. I'm hoping when this goes live and I do a more detailed version, I can say, yeah, but they kept the weak spots in. All they did was buff the middle bit. But we'll see. Here, same sort of thing. I mean, why it had 150mm turret armor and rear armor, I don't know. Those are gone. That's just balancing. There's nothing wrong with that. I honestly barely even knew what tanks they were. Again, not making a difference. Like as in I saw the name and then didn't realise what tanks they were affecting. Basically, the T95, T2, those are basically just going to get a little bit faster. It's not a bad thing. Makes them also, you know, it's anyone who's played these things knows how horrendous it is. I'm okay with this. That's a pretty good thing. Nerfing a bit of artillery, I'm okay with that. That is quite a nice little change. It makes the M6 a little bit better at side scraping. Nothing wrong with that in my opinion. Because that 44mm means you basically can't side scrape. You know, you just get overmatched by almost anything. That means you can, but not a lot, which sort of sets you up for the rest of this line. You get the same with the E5. Yeah, you can side scrape, but you can't side scrape too much because people pen you. Same sort of thing runs throughout that entire line. That makes it fit in with the line better. I'm okay with that. T32 getting a little bit of the buff. Yeah, I'm okay with that. A lot of people don't particularly rate the T32. I got on really well with it. I think it's still one of my highest base XP games. So I did about 8,000 damage or something in a tier 10 game on wide park, interestingly. I got perfectly hull down between the train tracks and just mowed the crap out of people. So, you know, that was fun. Pershing, I'm pretty okay with this getting a buff. Like, I'm not a big deal. I'm okay with that. N46 pattern increase on the armor gun makes no difference. That's a big buff. That is a huge buff. That is, I mean, if you look at that armor difference, 254 compared to 177, you might think, oh wow, that's amazing. It's not as amazing as it still might seem. Again, as they said earlier, that's not necessarily the whole thing. That's at least one area. And it's basically the gun shield now gets a lot better. The area around it is still a bit softer, but it's still a lot better than it was. That's okay. That's fine. Terrain resistance. I'm not sure that tank needed any buffs. Whatever, I'm not even going to comment. Anyway, but yeah, so here you can see the whole thing. Forward reverse top speeds are being changed as part of the engine thing here. So they're all linked. I don't know why they didn't put them in the same place, but whatever. No one cares. That's a okay little buff. Sort of brings it up. That is... I'm okay with that. It's a minor nerf to the T57 Heavy. It's pretty fine. It'll be fine afterwards, trust me. It'll be fine. Bit of a buff. Now, I'd be interested to see what this is, because again, this is one where they're doing part of what PC did, but not all of what PC did. So PC nerfed the hatch a little bit, enough that you can pen it with regular rounds, but still not enough that you can regularly pen it with regular rounds, unless you've got very, very high pen guns. So most people still fire heated it anyway. The interesting thing they did on PC is they also nerfed the areas on the lower plate near the drive wheels. So at the moment, they're ridiculously well armoured. In most of it, there's certain parts of it which are actually still quite weak, but they made all of it quite weak. That meant if you side scrape wrong, if you overextend, you're very, very easily penned in your lower plate. Now they haven't appeared to do the hull bit, for reasons I do not understand or haven't asked about. So hopefully that will be solved. But at the very least, hopefully, well, actually no, I keep saying hopefully, but the other option is that they've gone their own direction and they've genuinely nerfed it. And they've genuinely made it so you can pen it far easier than you can currently. But yeah. Again, made it look a little bit prettier. No big deal. Same thing. Shot dispersion during rotation. Not enough. Not enough. Don't even bother with that shit. What is the point? Like, nerf it or don't. Like, that is not... What the fuck is that going to do? Oh yeah, the TD that moves very slowly, arguably slowly enough at most times during turning, that it doesn't even cause full bloom. And that spends most of its time sat down corridors. Ah, yes. That's going to make the difference. That's going to stop. Now, Anna, we can all listen to Max Chaos and the other people guys now. We can all say, yeah, we just need to flank it now. That's all we need to do. We can do it now. It's got that extra bit of gun bloom. So that point where it's facing it, when it's next to a wall with rocks around it and 400 meters of ground to cover, it's now your fault if you cannot get across that ground past the thing that has so much stupidly large amounts of DPM and pen that it will just kill you. It's now your fault, okay? Because of this change. This change is balanced. It's balanced now. All your fault if you can't do it. Hallelujah? Yeah, that should have happened by now. That's stupid that it hasn't. I have this tank. I'm quite okay with this. Who cares? Who cares? Who cares? Whatever. That's meh. They've added 1mm of armor, but it does. I believe they have changed the thing. And then we get to bug fixes, and most of this is just stuff that no one's really going to care about. This sort of stuff, added physics region. This is levels of interest in this. Basically, they're stopping you from doing climbs. So they added the physics in so that you can do climbs, and then they're stopping you from doing climbs. I don't understand why either, but they are doing that. Anyhow, this video has gone on. This may be my longest video. Yeah, it is, because this is nearly an hour now. But this is me coming to a close. If there's any more areas... well, there are areas that I need to go over in far more detail. But again, this has been an hour. So I want to do it a bit so, say, if I'm doing something about the German ones, I'm going to do it specifically about the German ones, so people don't have to waste their time about stuff that they don't want to listen to. So I might actually do this in podcast form as well. So anything you want me to go over in more detail from this, either once it's gone live or well, as it goes live, obviously this will probably be going out when it goes live. Let me know. I will do my best to get as much covered. I'm probably going to end up doing, I don't know, 5 or 6 or more videos just from this one update. So hopefully you've enjoyed this. Hopefully you found it useful. And as always, I've been Jack the Ripper, and I'll see you on the battlefield.